Recording. All right, so we will go ahead and get started with the July 17th meeting of the West March Board of Directors. May I have a roll call, please, in alphabetical order? Starts with you, Amanda.
Thank you. Amanda Giles, Vice President, is present.
Andy Brown.
Christine, that's you.
Okay, Brody.
Aya, do you want to go BK or C?
Sorry, took me a second to get off mute. Christine Stender, Monarch.
David Zucker, Prime Minister.
Jody Begley, President.
Rose Brown, Secretary.
And then Kaya, are you going to be K or C? Kaya's here. She's just
Sorry, it's taking me a moment to get off of mute. I'm here. I will go by K. Sorry, I got messed up with Christine and season. That's my
totally
life right now.
Totally cool. And then not in attendance today is Jordan Jameson, who, from what I understand, is still on a ship, but on his way home. So,
yep, he should
So
be
that's-
back by next week. But unfortunately,
okay, that's good. That's good. At least we know where he is, and hopefully he's safe. So, has anyone had a chance, excuse me, to review the June meeting minutes and have any questions?
I have no questions at this time.
I had enough time to review the meeting minutes,
I bet you did.
but I have no questions about them.
Right, if anybody, no one has any questions about them, may I get a motion to approve them, please?
I make the motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second,
Second.
Oh,
Great,
guys, don't
so-
all rush at once.
All right, so the meeting minutes from June are approved and will be posted in CAM card like we always do. The third item is going to be the platform for future BOD meetings. Kaya and I were going to get together and come up with a way to post them directly on the YouTube West March, which I don't believe that we ever did.
No, I just got a hold of Fix yesterday. I'll ping him again because I need to get, it needs to be through the West March, which Olympus, do you actually have access to the West March email? Because it's under the West March Gmail account.
Then I suppose I probably do, but to tell you the truth, I don't check it.
Okay, but you've got the login and everything, because we just need to log into the West March, then go over to YouTube and upload it there. That's all. That's actually how it works. That's really easy.
Okay, so I can do that actually, because I was looking at that earlier today. I have access, I believe, to the West March Gmail account, or David does.
I do.
I did see Thistledown's Regent discussion meetings posted on the West March YouTube. So as long as I can get in there, I can at least post all of the past meetings that I have recordings for and get those uploaded. As far as live streaming them on the YouTube, I can work on that as long as I can get into the West March Gmail account and access the YouTube. Zoom just has do you want to live stream to Facebook, or there's another choice, which YouTube, I believe. So I should be able to do that.
are we able to do both at once, or we have to choose one or the other?
I think we can if we use, Kaya, I think you mentioned it before. Was it OBS? Was that the name of the software that you were looking at?
Yeah, OBS, we can stream directly to YouTube. But that would require someone to do 3 programs, I think, because you need not only Zoom, but because Zoom will go directly to Facebook, and then you can connect the Zoom to the IBO, I think is what it's called, and you can do it directly through there.
Okay, it's IBO.
I think
I
that's
thought it
what
was OBS.
Thistledown did with his
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
regents discussions, because he held them on Discord, but then he also recorded them at the same time. And I know he had two computers and two things going.
Can we maybe reach out to him and kind of have a chit chat of how he did it?
Can somebody
Alright.
do that? It's starting to get out of my tech savvy purview.
And there is something on YouTube where I can give permissions to people, inviting them by email, to be manager,
So
editor, different access levels.
if we were live streaming it on YouTube, would we be able to share the live stream from YouTube to Facebook and maybe not have to use the OBS thing?
That
Does
would
anyone
work
know if
too.
that work?
It'd be
That
pretty
might
simple.
be easier.
Yeah, I would cut out the middleman.
So live stream on YouTube and then connect it to Facebook.
Yeah, just share the YouTube video to our Facebook with the live stream. It's like I share videos from YouTube to Facebook all the time. It doesn't necessarily like it, but it lets me do it still,
Yeah,
unlike Twitter.
essentially they would just have to click a link to view the feed rather than it being embedded within Facebook, which I think is fine. Makes
I
it a
think that's
lot,
fine too.
yeah, makes it a lot easier for future BODs and such without having to learn an entirely new software.
So we would go onto the West March YouTube and then start a video there and then link that to Facebook. Is that kind of the basic
Yeah.
plan?
Yeah,
Okay.
you just usually YouTube videos have a share option and you can just share to Facebook.
Okay. I will do a practice and see how that goes.
We could try it with the recruiting guild meeting that we're having in a week or so.
Okay.
Dry run it there if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. So we are going to look into changing the format just of Zoom to live streaming on YouTube and connecting that live stream to Facebook through the West March YouTube site account. Correct?
Yeah.
From my understanding, unless we come across some sort of technical challenge that we can't, yeah, and that sounds good to me.
So
Okay.
may I have a motion to that effect, please?
I make a motion to table this until Jody is able to do a trial run and come back with us on how well it worked out.
I will second that motion.
Anyone opposed? All right, so we will table that and hopefully we'll get that changed and up and running smoothly by the next meeting. And then the next item is officer insurance. Amanda?
I don't have as much of an update as I want. I'm sure people have been seeing my personal Facebook page rants about it. I do have some hope though. I'm still getting the runaround from the 3 organizations I was working with previously. Every time I send the monthly email reminder, I get a generic message back from a different employee every single time going, we'll get back to you. However, Kaya gave me a name of a wonderful insurance company. It's actually through State Farm that I talked to twice on Friday, and they are promising me they will have a quote no later than Tuesday. They wanted to do a little research, is what the agent told me. Very, very sweet, sweet lady. And in addition to that, I've also been talking to a gentleman who is on the, I think he's on the BOD for Crystal Groves. And he's given me the name and contact for the insurance agency that their kingdom goes through. And their kingdom, don't consider this an official quote, but their kingdom actually has their BOD insurance bundled with their general liability club insurance. So I'm not saying that's like the way we should go, but once I get some numbers, we might want to see if it's worth expanding the insurance question to general liability for the club. only because they pay currently at about $6 a head per active member. So they're paying about $1,800 a year for insurance that covers absolutely everybody. But we have a couple of questions. David and I have been kind of talking about this out of chat just to get some general clarification, because there might be some advantages to doing this. If we do bundle the insurance of the BOD insurance with general liability insurance for the club, that may actually cover all of our event insurance. So it would actually save the club about $600 possibly a year in event insurance. But there's a lot of questions around that. So including like the question of how the insurance company determines active players.
Yeah.
So
As far as our like Kapora and the rules have it, it's basically if you show up for a couple weeks, you automatically become an active player, right? For like us.
I think so, but there's until I actually talk to the insurance agency, there's a little bit of speculation. And the Crystal Groves is having a really big event this weekend. So John, Mr. White is going to talk to more of their BOD and get some actual details on how they have it set up, just so when I talk to them, I can make sure we're not getting like fleeced or something. So if anybody has any additional questions that they want me to ask this particular insurance agency, because they're a sports insurance agency essentially, feel free to PM them to me. And when I get a hold of them next week, hopefully I'll be able to get some more information there. But my main focus is still just BOD, director and liability insurance. It just looks like there might be a possibility to bundle everything together for a better rate, but I don't know until I talk to them.
I have a small question. If you could add it to the ones you're asking him, when they
Absolutely.
say that they are able to bundle that and use it to cover events, does that include small events or only the bigger weekend events? Like if we got this, would we be able to, if we had a day event, use it as proof of insurance? Because that could make like having day events at places way more affordable for small lands. So like the big events would definitely save money, but I could see that expanding small lands to like having way more, you know, events if they weren't having to cover event insurance for like going off site.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I don't know if so. The whole option for possible event insurance was actually something that David suggested. I don't actually know if Crystal Groves, if that also covers event insurance. I know it covers general liability for injury, and then it covers directors and officers. So I'll reach out to Mono and see if he knows if it also covers event insurance, but that was something I was just planning on asking directly when I hopefully talk to them later this week. But that's a very good thing to know, because that would actually might be worth it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that we've talked about liability insurance for the monarchy, just because of some of the responsibilities and decisions that they have to make.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying it was, you know, $6 per active person. And that was kind of one of the discussions that we've had in the past, is how do we determine who's active? That's can be a fairly fluid thing. And then also just, I like the idea personally of a general, you know, event insurance, because just as an example, you know, for Mid-Rain, Bear and I have procured a site that's got, you know, a kitchen and amenities and all of that. And they didn't necessarily require insurance since we don't have, you know, live steel in what we're doing, but I went ahead and got insurance anyway. And I think it would be nice to be able to have that just on a kingdom level so that we could not have to worry about that.
It would make a lot of difference down here, because like every single park that is owned by the county requires insurance to play there. So,
Which none of us have.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to pretty much like stick to city parks or county parks that aren't monitored well, because otherwise the forest rangers will come over and tell us that we can't be there. And we have to have insurance to do any kind of, somewhat official thing. Like if we were just kids playing, a little game together, that would be one thing. But anytime that they can tell it's like a group of people
Yeah, an
converging,
organization of some sort.
yeah, then they come in, they're like, you can't do that here. And we actually had like years and years and years ago, an event we'd set up with them. And as soon as they realized we were doing it, they actually kicked us off the site.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a little bit outside the scope of my current like investigation in terms of insurance, but I really do think it's worth asking. So as soon as I get them on the phone, I'm gonna attempt, assuming I can actually get a quote back from anybody, which I feel like I can. I'll get a quote for officially just for directors and officers insurance to see what that would cost, and then I'll ask for general liability and then see if I can get some clarification on active players and whether or not that would cover events. The other thing is the one thing I haven't checked with the sports insurance agency is I need to check their rating, because David found some great information from, that was the King City site. Was that right, David, that you sent me the
Yeah.
legalese from?
Yeah.
So if it does cover event insurance, that would be great. However, King City themselves has some requirements for the insurance company. The insurance company has to be an A+ rated insurance company with 1 million in liability. So I'll just have to double check, when I contact them, ask what their insurance rating is and get some of those finer details. But that's pretty much the gist of my update.
Sorry.
A million seems pretty standard from at least from my initial discussions with the agencies. But yeah, so if I get an official quote, I'll be posting it to the Kapora chat for review ahead of time. But at the moment, that's my update, and I don't have anything official to present yet, but we're taking a couple of steps closer. So cross your fingers for me.
Looks like Christine has her hand up. I think she's probably been at a Circle of Monarchs meeting recently where you had to raise your hand. So go ahead. I recognize that.
A couple of things. We were talking about capitation in the Monarchs meeting, and the way they were doing it is anyone who has signed in within the set period of time, that's an active member. So
clarify what you mean by what
new members, though.
Probably be that number. Also, I'm hugely in favor of getting liability insurance if we can. And ideally, we would check into how we would add additionally named in. For example, when we go to the King City Park, we have to have them named additionally on our insurance.
Okay.
I have a site that it's a private, my parents' place, plenty of space. They'll let us use it, but they need to have that insurance that has them named on it as well.
Okay. Okay.
So that's
an interesting point. All right.
Yeah, and using event helper was it's about $230, and then I think to get that additional person named is like another $100. So it's about $330 for that cost for one event.
And I'm getting just going by the price of Crystal Groves and what they're paying. Our membership numbers, I think, are a bit lower than them right now, but I would say probably high end. If we do decide, if we miraculously could get everything bundled together, we are probably looking budget wise at about $2,000 a year, hopefully under $2,000, but I say go high and then be excited if we get lower. I don't know if that's going to be within the budget of the kingdom or not. It's probably going to be a completely different discussion later once we actually have the numbers in place. But in terms of giving everybody a heads up on what to expect, that's personally what number I think is going to be coming in at, between $1,500 and $2,000 a year.
minus
want-
600, what we're currently spending for insurance for FOM, and Dark Shore minus a couple hundred for insurance for mid-rain. So that's bringing it down a lot.
Yeah.
And that's assuming
Additionally-
event insurance is covered. So we'd have to see specifically about that.
Mm.
Ideally, I'd love to find us an insurance agency that can accommodate everything. So even if we have to get like singular event insurance, I'm hoping if we have our liability insurance or our director insurance with them, they'll give us a discount on a specific event insurance, assuming it's not bundled in. But like I said, I won't actually know that until we get an agent on the phone.
If it were bundled in, we could also always, do like an event tax where, events pay a specific amount specifically towards the insurance. Just to
That
cover
is a
that.
possibility. That is definitely a possibility. I think we'll know more once we actually have a number on hand and know what is going to be covered and what's not going to be covered. But definitely something for people to think about. Especially our treasurer and prime minister, as they know the budget intimately.
Well, by the time you guys have the numbers, my term's going to be over.
Oh, that's
We'll have to have an
True, that's
emergency
true.
meeting then.
Mhm.
I'm still going to be pestering you. Just
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
So
Because
is
you
there
are a
any
wealth
further
of sage
discussion?
advice.
Is there any further discussion on this item? Okay, so
I
it
don't
looks
believe
like Amanda's going to continue to plug away at her glorious research and get another update for us at the next meeting. Do I have a motion to table
Hopefully.
until next meeting?
I moved the table.
Second,
Second.
anyone opposed? Great, so we will revisit this next meeting. The next item is the Wells Fargo banking issues. I bet you're really going to be glad to give us your last report on this as Prime Minister.
Not the report yet, I don't think.
Oh,
Sadly.
I went to Wells Fargo. I filled out the paperwork to add Kaya. I sent it to her.
I have not received it.
I missed what you said.
Oh, I haven't received it yet.
You haven't received it yet?
No. You sent it to my PO box, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it hasn't arrived yet.
It's taken over a week for the post office to deliver it. Going into Wells Fargo and explaining I need to add this person and our schedules don't match up, so I need to start the paperwork here and then send it to her and have her go into her branch to fill it out. I had to repeat that about 5 times. That was a 15-minute discussion. And this is with the smarter banker. She did finally say that in the past couple of years, Wells Fargo has increased the security on the accounts, and that's why there's these new protocols. After I don't know how many visits between myself and Ian and people the past year, she's the first one to actually say, yes, we've increased our security protocols. So that's why some of this is popping up. Once Kaya gets it, she should be the paperwork, she should be able to go to her local branch, create a profile, get signed up, get a couple of things on that paperwork filled in, send it back to me. I go into the branch, finish it up, and she will have access as a signer. In order to change, I'm currently the key executive, and in order to change key executives, we have to go in person together at the same time.
so is that going to be the next PM and you are going to have to visit in person?
I've got to
Coming
visit
up.
somebody in person, so it's either, I mean, I think ideally would be the secretary of the BOD be the key executive, because that doesn't change as often. But depending on how schedules meet at this point, it might be make Klenau the, assuming he's elected, or the next prime minister the key executive. And then-
People went a little fast. So
oh, sorry.
you were suggesting who should be the key executive if, before someone?
ideally the secretary of the BOD, but at the rate we're going, it might be the next prime minister.
It will be very hard for us to meet up in person.
Wait, excuse me, the treasurer of the BOD. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The
I was like,
treasurer's,
I'm willing to do it if you're saying I need to, but.
Oh,
if-
sorry,
yeah,
the
but
treasurer of the
Sorry,
BOD,
meet
not
up
the
in person.
secretary.
so make
Okay.
Kaya the chief executive, and then the next prime minister would be a second person on the account. Is that what you're saying?
So ideally, yes, but time-wise, since we've got what, a few weeks, a month before the next prime minister takes over, and getting anything done with Wells Fargo takes so long. By the time we actually get Kaya added as a signatory, it might be time to give me the boot.
So-
Klenau's been,
Money.
I assume Klenau's gonna be voted in. He has been prime minister before, so he's got an account set up with Wells Fargo already. So adding him should be relatively easy.
Is his suspension from office over yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Okay, 12 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that we get Kaya added to the account
Yeah.
for continuity, and then when the PM changes, we do whatever we need to do to get the new prime minister on to replace you.
Yeah.
But we're gonna need to get Kaya formally on there so that we have that one person going forward. Is that correct?
Liz, what are you up to on Saturday?
This coming Saturday,
Yeah.
hanging out with Marauders up past Sacramento. You want to come
Wait.
join us?
No, I actually have to
We'll put
go
red
to a
and blue on you.
winery. But what time? No, God, no. What time? What time are you
Oh,
going to be in the area? Because I'm going to drive
God.
through Sacramento on my way out to Napa, where we can try to
Oh.
hit a place together.
I don't know what time. I'm planning. My plan ahead these days is I don't like planning ahead.
I feel that.
Things change anyway, right?
I'll ping you this week. We'll see what's going on because
Yeah,
I still
that
haven't
might
gotten the
work.
documents.
That might work.
Okay, so I have that you two will try to get together, but probably not on Saturday.
We'll
ready
see.
to attempt.
I mean, we've got the paperwork and work going to get her added.
Yeah,
It's just the post office seems to have eaten it.
yeah, they do that.
Kaya
I mean,
messaged me her PO box. I copied and pasted that into a Word document and printed out a label. So it's not like I did any typos there. So,
okay, I'm gonna officially make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Awesome. All right, so we will pick this up again next month. The next item on the agenda is the website move. I believe where we were at last time was, we were gonna reach out to Victoria about the legal issues with getting Grix removed, or talking to their lawyer about unlocking CA Amtgard and moving the information to us. Is that correct?
That is, Victoria is willing to help us. Grix has not responded to our messages.
I've poked Grix, and as of yesterday, he says he's going to get it taken care of first thing Monday. So
We might want to table the lawyer thing until we get an update from him, since he's in contact from the sounds of it.
Well, the lawyer was just trying to help us get everything wrestled with Wells Fargo. She was trying to help
Gotcha.
whatever Grix problems was he was having with Wells Fargo and help him with Wells Fargo, because Wells Fargo seems to be the holdup last time we talked to Grix, it felt.
Wells
Wait,
Fargo is the holdup
those are
for
different
unlocking
things.
CA
Yeah, those
Amtgard?
are Yeah, those are different things from my understanding.
Yeah,
My
Okay.
understanding was Grix was just waiting to hear back from his web hosting company, who's been slow, and they hadn't had a chance to bug him. At least that was the impression I got.
Okay.
So
The
Yeah.
the
impression
notes,
I
Legal
had,
letter would have been basically a, hey, you need to do this and not stop, be uncommunicative.
so the notes
Yeah.
that I
Okay.
have from last month are unable to contact Grix's web host. We have to wait until they release it to Grix before we can do anything. Should we try and involve a lawyer to write them a stern note? Victoria Fraser responded that she needs more information, but she would be willing to help us out with this. Kaya will connect with Grix and Victoria to see if they can work together and work things out. That's the notes that I have from last month about the website move.
yes,
David,
and
should
Grit
we add?
didn't reply.
Should we add?
Yes,
Should we add Kaya and Victoria to that Facebook group chat where we've been poking Grix, so they can see us poking Grix?
well, I think if Grix is
We're not
gonna,
trying
said
to
he's gonna
poke
take care of
Grit
it
so
by
much.
Monday, give him
Yeah.
a chance to do what he can do, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, the lawyer isn't to poke Grix. The lawyer is to poke whoever Grix isn't getting a
Yes.
response to, be that the
Well-
web host or the web host that's saying that Wells Fargo needs to, as the sponsor of our website, needs to release it first.
Wait,
And Victoria's
Wells-
just trying to help that move along.
Wells Fargo has nothing to do with our website. There's zero.
My understanding is that they are helping sponsor and pay for our website. Is that not, who's
No.
sponsoring and paying for the website then?
So currently who's paying for the web start site is, so CA AmpGuard is paid by Grix somehow.
Okay.
He's handling the hosting, the domain name, all of that at present, which is left over from when West March was an idea and like didn't even have a name, much less bank account. Brandy started all of this and she signed up with Namecheaps for hosting. And we've got a temporary
gosh.
name. So that's paid for direct, and that's an easy peasy. And that's actually through PayPal. So it's set up currently for automatic taken care of.
So we've been paying for a domain we can't transfer to for the last 2 years.
We're
Am I
paying
understanding that? We're paying
We're paying
paying-
for hosting. So we're paying for hosting. We have a she set up a westmarch.online as a placeholder domain name. That's the cheap part. I mean,
But we're
it's
still paying
we are
for that,
paying.
even though it happens.
Altogether, it's been something like $150 a year. So
That's-
like not
that's-
much,
But
yes,
that's $300.
it would be great
been
if
at least 2.5 years.
yes, it would be great if like we had gotten something for our money by now.
Yeah,
And-
that's where I'm actually starting to get a little concerned, because at this point we're paying money for a service that we've not been able to use.
Right.
So we've been working on this for 2 years, and we've always run into a roadblock that Grix is paying for everything. It's under his purview, and we haven't been able to make any progress because that's the wall that we keep running into. So it sounds like we finally contacted Grix, and he's going to do something from his end, which hasn't been done yet, that then we can implement Brandy's Namecheap and that and get it transferred over. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That is correct, but my concern here that I'd like to voice is we've been in contact with Grix before, and we've made contact with Grix before, and it didn't get done previously. So I think we really need to be very adamant that this actually gets moved forward soon in some way.
So Grix said he'll take care of it first thing Monday. Should you or I message him second thing Monday morning? Though I'm at work, so I'll do it at lunch.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So I'll do it fifth thing Monday morning.
Do
Okay.
you remember
Chris-
exactly when we paid for the service? I'm just curious how much money we've spent so far on this. Was that 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I feel like it was right before COVID.
Has it really been that long? When did Brandy, I assume Brandy's the one who started it. When did she?
That was before
Started.
COVID, I'm pretty sure.
Brandy was working on this for at least 1.5 years to 2 years. And
Oh, wow.
that's about as far as we've made it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's well
I didn't
overdue.
realize it was that long.
How much is it that we have, that we pay per year? I know it was said, but I didn't quite catch it. I'm just,
Roughly 150.
thank you.
So we either need to get Grix moving on this, or I think we need to suspend our domain name hosting that Brandy set up until we can clear Grix's schedule and actually get some movement from him, because I don't want us to keep paying for this if we're just going to be sitting around and waiting for movement from other people. Like, maybe we shouldn't pay for this until like it's in Grix's hands and he can actually transfer it.
So at this point, we're paid up for until next year.
Additionally, if we stopped paying for it, somebody else could potentially take it, couldn't they?
But it's a temporary domain name. It's not our CAAmpguard.com. This is CAAmp. What was it? It was like
Westmarch.online. So that the name, we're paying for 3 things. We're paying for hosting, we're paying for the domain name, and we're paying for security certificates. The domain name is what, 10-15 bucks a year? That's the cheap
roughly,
one.
yeah.
If we want to put in a transfer, we've got to pay for something to transfer it to. Grix opens it up for to be transferred, and we're not paying for anything. We got to set that up real quick, and it's been a long time
really
since I've done
fast.
this. I've done this before for my personal websites and for work. You initiate the transfer on their end. They give you a temporary password that I think is good for a day. And if you take too long to get the transfer done to the new place, you got to start over again. So we basically got to have, I'm pretty sure we've got to pay for something to transfer it to, so that we have something to transfer it to. We're paid up through next year anyway, so
So till then.
yeah, I mean, I guess we could cancel and request a refund, but
So what I'm hearing is that we see what Grix comes up with. And if
Right.
that makes progress, then we get the Namecheap Westmarch online set up and paid for, so that we can move the CAAmpguard domain there.
it's
that
already
right?
paid. It's already paid for.
The
Grix
Westmarch
gets-
online and Namecheap?
Yeah, it's already paid through the next year.
Okay,
That
so
way-
we're ready to go then, as long
We're
as
ready
Grix.
to-
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Yes, we're
Okay.
ready to go. I just need Grix to actually get a hold of his web hosts, which sounded like he had troubles doing that before. They unlock it. He gives us information. We transfer it over.
so what if, just to play devil's advocate, what if he doesn't get a hold of his web host and doesn't make any progress by Monday? I mean, we have months still, but we've been working on this and hashing it around for years. What would our contingency be so that we can get this done and off of our agenda and taken care of?
I don't have a good contingency plan. Victoria writes a sternly worded letter as a lawyer to Grix that it needs to get done. And Grix contacts his web host and says, this needs to get done. I've got a lawyer breathing down my neck. I don't know any plan B that isn't calling up lawyers.
Slightly off topic question, but still on topic. Is there a reason we bought a whole new name and we're not just transferring CAAmpguard over to a new hosting service? I mean, why are we changing our web address?
Why do we have, so as far as I know, Westmarch.online is just a placeholder.
Okay.
Until we get CAAmpguard transferred, and then we dump Westmarch.online. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good well, I didn't get any, here's the status of it. I kind of was told, it's happening. Can you figure out what's going on?
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I suppose if we wanted to, we could just give up on CA Amp Guard and just let it die and go to a different name.
That might be something to discuss after we hear from Grix.
All right.
Grix can actually get in touch with them.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's our plan B is we just drop CA Amp Guard.
We could do something like
Well,
westmarch.com or something if it's available. Because I mean, CA Amp Guard, we are all CA Amp Guard now. That was originally set up before we were a kingdom, so using the kingdom name wasn't really an option at the time, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd lose our information though, right? Unless we had someone manually copy everything and then repost it.
Oh, we've got.
We'd also
got
have to go
copies.
around to all of our social sites and change the link to everything that's pointing, everything that we've ever had pointing to CA Amp Guard. We'd have to go and edit.
Oh yeah, it'd be a pain in the neck. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering
as
why
for
we can't keep our
information-
current address.
As for information, we've got
Because
everything
Grix owns it.
saved up through, I think we don't have the last 2 or 3 months of posts on CA Amp Guard. And 90% of those are mine.
I'm gonna make
I'm
just a little
probably
quick
the one-
announcement. Christian has to go. She has something that came up. So she didn't want to ghost everybody, but she had to go.
Gotcha.
All right, continue. Carry on.
So on a
Um,
quick check, westmarch.com is going for like $5,000 right now.
Oh, that would be why we don't own westmarch.com.
Yep.
Probably.
It is available, though.
actually, that is more expensive now because that is isn't that a place from Game of Thrones?
Not
It's-
Game of Thrones, but
Diablo.
is it Diablo or World of Warcraft? Yeah.
It's Diablo.
Okay. I
Yeah, so
remember
that
it
would be
was from
rough.
something that was popular, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So does Grix not want to give us CA Amp Guard? Is that why we're going westmarch.online?
No, he does want to give it to us. The problem is he has to get his domain registrar to release it so that we can take ownership of it. That's the
Gotcha.
whole,
Gotcha.
that domain registrar is the one that actually needs to take action. Grix needs to get them to take action so that we can take ownership.
Okay.
And that's where the lawyer letter came in, that if they're not willing to release it or they're dragging their feet, it's, we've been doing this for a long time and you guys need to do something, please. Caps lock, please.
Could we, as a BOD, send anything? Do we need to get a lawyer involved? Can we email these people on behalf and be like, please get back to this individual?
So legally it belongs to him. So really most of the
Yeah.
action needs to come from him.
And
Gotcha.
Westmarch
Third
doesn't have,
party.
Westmarch does not have a lawyer.
Yeah.
We don't have a Westmarch lawyer. AI
Right.
has a lawyer,
Yeah.
but Westmarch does not have a lawyer. Victoria
I was
is not
thinking
a
purely as
lawyer
a
for
BOD.
Westmarch. So she's really doing this as a favor and not as a formal representative of Westmarch. So I think we should be careful with that.
Additionally, I believe as a third party, seeing as the contract is between Grix and the web host, we wouldn't really have any ability to push our way into the contract. Like, we can help him with like having a sternly letter for him, but if we tried to like write them and be like, why aren't you doing this? They'd be like, who are you? Like, we don't have a contract with you. So you can't really threaten us or anything. Because that's the way contracts usually work. Only the parties inside the contract are able to,
Yeah.
do stuff.
Privacy.
Yeah.
So I think for now, tabling this until we hear from Grix and see what he has to say. Because I also don't want to harass him. That's not really fair to him, but it would be good to put I don't know, I want to say more of a sense of urgency, but we've kind of had a sense of urgency on this for a while, but let him see what he can do on Monday and then we can discuss it. I guess the worst place is we would have to start up a whole new website, right?
Yeah.
Well, really just have a
We
whole new
just get a
name.
new name. We've got the information. We've got something functional. We're just waiting to get CAM card pointing at it.
And the negative of getting a new name is we'd have to change it everywhere, which
Everything, yeah.
SG recently moved, and having to just go and change our location everywhere was enough of a headache. We are at least helped with that in that we moved back to where we used to be. So some of the stuff we weren't able to change last time at least suddenly became valid again. But it's a
Yeah.
headache.
So
Now-
I say
oh.
for now, we give Grix a chance to work and just kind of be consistent, but not, and persistent, but not harassing.
Tell you what, one more question for David. If we have a website hosted, is there any, we could have Grix point a DNS to our host at will. I mean, that doesn't even require a transfer. So would we want to do that just in the meantime?
I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens tomorrow. And if
Sure.
he can't get unlocked, yeah, I'll make that suggestion and say,
I mean,
Let's
even
get
if we
that
don't
done.
pay for the registration fees, I mean, we can still point, he can still point that to our host.
right, good point. Yeah, I'll mention that if
For those of us who don't know what the hell a DNS is, other than something that sounds a lot like
Thank you.
Oh.
video game console.
Domain name server.
So how that
It's what
works is
transfers all that. Go ahead.
when you look up a name on the internet, or when you type in an address, your computer goes to whatever domain name server it's set to go to, and it finds out what the actual numbered address for that website is, and then it goes to that numbered address, and that is the actual connection. You never see it as a user, but basically you can take that DNS and point it to whatever address you need to point it at, as like that's something you do as a person who controls a DNS entry. So Grix could go into his do you know who he has it registered through? It really doesn't matter.
I don't
Whoever
know.
his name server is, and say, hey, point this address to this location, point campguard.com to whatever our host is. And that, even though we didn't own the domain name per se, it would still go to our host as opposed to whatever he's hosting right now.
That would be a good spot. An analogy for DNS, you know how in your phone, you may want to make a phone call, you just click, say, Jody, and the phone translates that to an actual number that goes to her device. That's DNS, except
basically.
computers are doing that.
The friendly name.
Yeah,
That's easy to understand. Thanks.
yeah. But yeah, if he has trouble getting a hold of them, I'll ask him if he can do that. And yeah, he should be able to just log into whatever management software and type in the numbers. Yeah.
So then my next question is going to be, before we close this out, if we're going to discuss things like this, it's not really some things that we can discuss as a group on our group chat on Discord. We can have conversations between two of us, but not three, because that composes a meeting. Right? That's what we've done in the past when we've had our Facebook Messenger thread. Is we can talk things one-on-one, but not as a group. So I think that we will just need to collect information and either have another meeting about it or revisit it at our August meeting, which is also going to be our audit review meeting. Just
If there's
Just protocol.
yeah, if there's simple updates, I can just put a note in Discord chat, and then it's nice and public.
Okay.
Because I don't see anything about this that would be like sensitive or secure, talking about updates of moving a website, right? I'm not
No.
super.
No,
into
as long
that.
as it's public, and I think before we've just had a messenger thread, which has not been viewable by the public like it is on Discord, but I just wanted protocol wise and transparency wise, I wanted to make sure that we were aware of that and that we honored that.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I do any other updates, I'll toss it on.
Okay. All right, cool. So
Do things on Zoom chat show up on the live feed?
I do
not
not.
unless I allow them.
Oh,
Because
I
you
don't
have to
think-
go to a separate window to view Zoom chats, right?
I'm pretty sure because who can see your messages, everyone? I don't think I have enabled that.
I'm not sure how it is on computer because I always do it on phone because that's how I learned to do it. So that's how I like to do it. But like on phone, I have to specifically like tap the menu button and then find where the chats are and tap that in order to see them at all.
all right. Well, what I put into the chat, which I guess I'll read so it's official. I figured out how to get individuals to have access to West March YouTube without sharing the general Google password. And I sent out a couple of invites to the people we were talking about doing that way back when, earlier in the meeting.
Okay.
So
So you posted, what was that? Sorry. What did you post in the chat?
Invites to
what I just read, I figured out how to invite you. I think it was you and Kaya to have access to West March's YouTube.
I don't see that. I see your
Yeah,
West
well.
March Online as a placeholder website, but I'm not seeing the other one.
Oh, well, it's a good thing I read it. Now it's really doubly in the record.
Yep.
It's mostly an FYI since we were talking about chats and
Okay.
Okay, you sent it, but not on the Zoom chat is the thing.
I made
So
a
I-
comment. I made a comment on the Zoom chat.
But like the
But-
invite isn't on the Zoom chat.
Correct.
Okay,
Right,
I think that
right.
was what,
People's
Okay.
emails I'm not putting in the Zoom chat or
No, okay,
online
good,
chat.
because that's exactly what I saw. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go back to the CAM card website move. Do we have a plan and can we have a motion?
motion
done
to
discussing?
table until next meeting.
I second.
Anyone opposed? Okay, great. I am missing a page. The next thing is adding Quixotic Valley final contract to the list of completed land contracts on CA Amtgard. We have the final contract, right? That's in the Google Drive. We just need to get it posted.
If you're saying adding
Quixotic Valley's not on CA Amtgard yet.
Yep. Updates to see AmpGuard are very slow. When we get see AmpGuard pointing to West March Online, that's already updated there.
Okay,
So
so
this is in the works. Yeah, I've also sent updated Kapora and changelog to be updated on campguard.com and just waiting for that to happen.
okay, and Fix does that still, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right, so basically Quixotic Valley contract again is final. And
Yeah.
they are a land in West March, and we're just kind of waiting on the website move and all of that to get everything finalized.
yeah,
So does this need to be tabled or can we close this out?
I think it can be closed.
Motion to close.
I'll
Second.
Any opposed? All right, so checked one off the list. Excuse me, the next item was the Dark Shore money status. Didn't we close this one? We get a
No,
final financial on Dark Shore?
so it was basically from what I remember, the refund status more than the
Right.
actual funds from the event is what we were still checking up on.
Was there
Right.
ever a total benefits, not benefits, did we ever
Ledger?
actually officially post, the ledger, the numbers from Feast of Mars? Like, I know,
Right.
I think it was a post.
You mean Dark Shore?
Or
'Cause
Dark Shore, not
I'm
Feast of Mars, I'm
pretty
sorry, Dark
sure
Shore.
Eta made a post.
So
Okay, I'll go back and look at it.
So, ETA sent a check to the Parks Department. The Parks Department didn't know what to do with it, and presumably returned it. And then ETA went to boot camp. So his ability to double check things like, has he gotten that money back, is very limited. So the Parks Department said, we never got paid. We figured
What?
out that the Parks Department said, we never got paid. And eventually they figured out that they got paid by ETA and they didn't know what to do with the money. So they sent it back. They
Was
did
that his
offer us,
personal check or was that from West March?
West March, I gave money to ETA. He sent money to them. He's got evidence showing that he sent it to them. Parks Department says, yes, we saw it. We didn't know what to do with it. So it's been sent back. So that money is still needs to come back to West March. In the meantime, the Parks Department did offer refund for cleaning the security deposits, and they offered a refund for the oops about the showers and COVID.
Oh, good.
So since then, since ETA's at boot and can't really take care of the money, I sent a check direct to the Parks Department. Parks Department is paid off. They're paid off the reservation minus the refund.
How much did they refund us for the COVID shower snafu?
600. So
Good.
we paid them. The original check was 2,750, which they sent back, and then I sent them paper check for 1,750. Parks Department is paid off.
Cool.
When ETA's able to verify they sent the money back to him the way they said they sent the money back to him and return the money back to West March, we have made a grand total of, I think the exact number is $4.95 profit off of Dark Shore.
Hey, that's something.
Considering how we had a bunch of last minute cancellations from the
Yeah.
COVID stuff.
Yeah, that was
Um,
rough.
We
Yeah.
we would have made a few $100, $500 profit. So if things had gone according to plan, it would have been like average profit event.
I'm just gonna
Um,
say that I'm really glad that the event that ETA ran with all of the stuff that happened made a small profit or even say broke even and that we didn't lose money. And I
Mhm.
just want to give him
Yeah.
credit for that. Because I think that he needs that.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
So I wish he's at boot camp. So my ability to sit down with him and like compare numbers is very limited. I would love to go over the finances one last time before posting, hey, we made $5 profit. Yeah.
Honestly, I think that it's very commendable, and anyone
Yeah.
who's like, why did we only make $5 profit?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing they made $5 profit with having to deal with COVID showers.
You
Yeah.
try creating an event with all of the stuff that came up, the first big event after COVID, and
Yeah,
do better. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And-
all ready to be perfectly happy with losing 200. So to know we're
job,
even
Ita.
ahead
Yeah.
at 5
And-
is just fantastic.
And the crat
Hmm.
team,
Ilanthus
good
has
job.
her hand up.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Mm.
I would like for, once you've done that final money count, Azus,
Mhm.
I would appreciate it if the BOD could make an official announcement to that effect, because I know Utah's already gotten a lot of heat. So I would like an official announcement that he did okay after all.
Is that a BOD thing? Or would that be a monarchy thing?
Well, the BOD is the one who's doing all the money and talking about it right now. So certainly, since they verified it, I think Azus probably as the PM or the treasurer can do it, but somebody from this group should definitely make a public announcement to that effect.
I could do it. It's been on my brain to do it anyway.
Thank you.
So do we
Okay,
need
keep-
to table this or close this out until next month?
If we're making
When
a announcement about it, I would say we probably should table until the announcement's made at least, so that we can make sure that somebody does do that.
Yeah, so it
Otherwise,
doesn't
it
fall
might
off
be-
the radar.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Anyone opposed? All right, so we'll table the Dark Shore kind of closing out the financials until next meeting. Then there's the petition for the freehold of Valand to join West March, which we tabled, waiting for the monarch, since the monarch is in charge of all things. I know Valand has petitioned to join West March, and kind of waiting for this meeting until Christine could be here.
So yeah, they're gonna be on the All Thing in August. So pending acceptance, then they would need a contract from you guys.
So basically then what happens is it goes up for all thing, they get voted, yes, please join us, and then the BOD will take action probably as of the August meeting to start circulating a contract.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool,
Love
so
it.
that's the update on this one, and do I have a motion to table until next meeting?
Motion
motion
to
to-
table.
Second?
I second.
Sweet. All right, anyone opposed? Okay, cool. So that one's tabled. The next item is we had talked last month about making some kind of a new position, herald, scribe, something to help with the BOD posting, meeting minutes, making sure everybody is informed and gets copies of everything. Does anyone have, what discussion do you guys have on that?
I was brought up to me that both Herald and Scribe have very specific and different descriptors under them. So it would probably be a good idea to come up with a alternate name to that, just so that if anyone like tries to look up the position, they're not going to get a false sense of what the person is doing.
I thought all the announcements and the postings and things fell under the duty of the secretary.
They do,
So-
but it's a whole lot of work. And getting someone to help with that, as well as mentorship in being secretary and participating on the BOD, could also be valuable in getting and training new BOD members. And I don't think that that really would fall under the purview of the alternate.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think we should be creating another position.
Can't even fill scribe right now or herald. I'm not entirely sure adding a third position is really going to change anything if we can't even get those positions filled. I mean, as far as I've been in Kingdom, we've never had anybody as scribe or officially as Kingdom Herald.
We did a while ago. I don't remember who, but there was somebody who was making a newsletter and posting it several years ago.
Yeah, that's before I joined Kingdom.
The newsletter.
I mean,
It's
because
a hard
technically, if we
position
don't have a
because we-
scribe, all that stuff is supposed to fall to the Prime Minister. Because if we don't have a scribe, those duties do fall to the Prime Minister. And I mean, that's something I actually brought up to the Kapora Committee in general, is if we need to just remove that whole position in general. Because we're supposed to have a budget, a monthly budget that's posted for public, our finances every month according to the Kapora. And I don't think that's ever been done. It's just
Well, it
something
also
that's kind of
says
fallen
here-
off to the side.
It also says here that the scribe may request Board of Directors meeting minutes, all thing minutes, publication of a newsletter that includes all of those things, but it's not necessarily, it's kind of a trainee for Prime Minister.
I believe it's
Yeah.
appointed by the Prime Minister as well.
Works with the
Mhm.
regent to maintain the yearly calendar of events. it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a weird position in my mind to implement.
I think we're
If we
into
took,
not
sorry,
our bid. The scribe is not a BOD position, and it is not within the realm of the BOD to add an AMP guard position or in other ways affect that. So I think we really should not be going down this road with this group.
I think if the position is wanted, the prime minister needs to find a scribe to help them with it.
Correct.
as a note for scribe, I've had a couple of people locally who were interested in it until they heard about the monthly newsletter thing. And then they're like, I don't got time for that. So I don't know if for the Kapora committee, they could think about maybe making a change in the verbiage to show that that is like optional or stuff. But we might get more people who are interested if it didn't have the monthly newsletter thing and was more just helping out with the other stuff.
To me, it
Well,
sounds more like
mean,
a Corpora
everything-
committee item than a BOD
I-
item.
Yeah. I agree. Just a
I-
point.
Move on then.
Should we close
Okay.
this item then?
I would
So
vote to
do I have a
close it.
motion to close this item?
Sure.
I will make that motion.
Second,
Ah,
anyone opposed? All right, so we are going to close this item out for today. And then the last item in old business are the audits.
We don't really have an update other than waiting for everybody to submit, right? I mean, there's no action to be taken on audits right now.
So there's no action to be taking on the audits, but what I would like to do for me is I would just like to kind of give updates on the lands that I have reached out to. So my lands were
Okay.
Thor's Refuge. PM didn't need any help. He's got it. It's all good. Misty Vale is kind of interesting. They seem to kind of have a group situation for the PM duties, but they did not need any help in formulating an audit package. Clockwork Spires did not need any help. I'm going to give you an update on Faldare. Give me just a second and let me find my communications. So Faldare is kind of interesting in that as of 3 weeks ago, they changed prime ministers. The person who is now the prime minister for Faldare has no experience, has never been a prime minister before, basically kind of got left with the responsibility, but no training or knowledge on what they need to be doing. The monarch is there to help them, but it sounded like the prime minister of Faldare left and went to another park, a freehold. And I think it sounds almost like a lot of members from Faldare went to this other freehold. They are really trying hard to get Faldare up and running again as a land in West March. David and I actually have both reached out to the new prime minister. I have sent her the video on the audits. I've sent her a link to the audit package, and we are going to actively be working on teaching them how to do an audit. A lot of their membership and their credits have been in the other freehold that everybody was using because Faldare fell apart. So for this whole last audit period until the last few weeks, Faldare's really hasn't had any attendance specifically for them, but their members have attendance that have been recorded in another freehold. So this is kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of a land in trouble as far as getting up and running and in an audit. We're going to see what we can do to help them get an audit package and get something submitted for this next audit period. So that was, in my opinion, a really useful reach out to help a land who's trying to get started up again, that's been kind of abandoned for a while, but they want to get started again. So that's the update on the lands that I've reached out to.
Is there anything the BOD could do to try and help them at all with maybe like marketing or getting them gear stuff? Like, do they need anything that we could help them with?
I think going forward,
We
they
do
could
that. We
use,
need to do that to every struggling land because they're not
yeah,
the
No.
only
Yeah.
shire right now that's struggling. So before we start targeting specific lands to help, we should probably evaluate all the lands that are probably going to need help.
and I think a lot of it is going to be going forward, looking at the audits for this period, because these audits are just coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
And so it is not going to be just a specific thing, but the only thing that I had information on was my land. And Ilanthus has her hand up, so go right ahead, please.
Thank you. It would be super helpful to me if you guys were to take the information you're sharing here and make a list of what lands need attention from the monarchy. Because again, it's not really the BOD's purview to be offering help in terms of stuff, but if you could draw the attention of the West March monarchy, that might be a good way to help them. Likewise, I was hoping for a list of lands that you deem inactive, that we can get those dealt with an all thing vote.
Thought we had to wait for the Kapora committee for that one because there's no all thing mechanism to remove defunct lands.
I will go back and look, but I think we can vote in a land and vote out a land in the same manner.
Okay.
And
that'd
then-
be great because we have a lot we need to clean up, but my understanding was you couldn't do it because we had no mechanism to do it.
Yeah, I'll look, but I think we can make an argument that the mechanism is the same in reverse.
I would
all thing
almost-
on it, and the he would do the contractual work on it.
I would almost think that it would be the BOD, okay, this land hasn't submitted an audit for X number of years. I would recommend giving them a leave of absence basically for COVID, but before and after. And they failed to submit an audit for X number of years. And then, put it forth to an all thing and also at the same time, look at
Well, that's different from
some sort of
defunct land.
corpora guidance for the monarchy on how to do that. It takes an
Defunct
all
lands
thing
are
to be
lands that
voted in.
nobody's at anymore, right?
Takes an all thing to be voted in. It should take an all thing to be voted out. But I think, again, that's a monarchy thing. The monarch is in charge of all things. So I think the corpora change is a good idea. I think the BOD's responsibility is to look at the audits and then say, here is what we've seen. Here are lands who are not meeting the requirements of their contract, which is a BOD responsibility. These lands aren't meeting their contractual obligations to West March, and give that to the monarch and the monarchy for them to do with. And then what they do with it could probably be better outlined in the corpora as far as a procedure.
Yes.
So would that be a change to the definition of defunct? Because like from my understanding, defunct right now means nobody's there at all.
Yeah, not just an audit hasn't been turned in, but there's no visible attendance.
I don't think we even need to necessarily determine if a land is defunct or not. All we need to do is determine if we want to hold their contract any further.
Mhm.
And as a kingdom, take a vote whether or not we want to continue this land's contract. After that, they can continue to exist in freehold land or not.
Well, I'd rather not even be in freehold if they're inactive, because that still gets listed under us, and it's still having possible players looking for lands that do not exist.
Yeah, these
also-
are two separate issues. Like free shires not fulfilling their contracts is one thing. We were talking about defunct lands that are listed under us that we need to,
Like
not
Skyfire.
have. Yeah, that still are listed under us that people still try to go to that we want to have removed from being shown so that people don't try to go there?
Well, we can make a notice of this land isn't active as far as we know, and we do not hold the contract anymore.
But I think since it's a contract, there needs to be some formal procedure as far as, you know, like in the business, okay, we've given you a verbal warning, we've given you a written warning, and now you're out. And I don't know that
Right,
that's
so-
necessarily a BOD item.
That's not a BOD item.
It's
No,
more of
the
a
BOD
corpora committee monarchy item. So I don't know that this is necessarily a BOD discussion item, other than
No, I'm
giving a report to the monarch. Here's the lands who once again have done nothing.
right. That's what I'm asking for, is a report from the BOD. And then I will take that and go from there.
I mean, that's listed when we do the audit thing. We list which lands did not submit audits.
Yeah, there's a whole column over on the right in the spreadsheet of defunct lands that aren't doing anything. So I think,
Well, they're not defunct. They're ones that didn't turn in any audit.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
those
have
are
to make
two
sure
separate-
we really want to make sure we keep that different, because Belial Peaks, as an example, they didn't put anything in the last audit, but they are still active. So we can't purely go by their audit status.
Yeah,
No.
they're not defunct. They maybe, you guys want to add an all thing to kick them out of West March, but they're not defunct. They would still exist as a freehold if they lost their shire status.
Right. I'm just asking for the BOD to give me a list of recommendations. And that's the end of the BOD involvement.
recommendations for what, Christine? Specifically, what do you need the recommendation to be?
This land's doing A-OK, no attention needed. This land is deficient in these areas and could use this attention. This land is hopeless and deal with it, please.
So I think
I
we'll be
mean,
able to do
that's
that when we
what
go
the
through
audit
yeah, I think we'll be able to do that, and you'll get a good idea of that when we go through the audit next month. But we could, and I think pretty much we usually make a list of that. There's a spreadsheet that Azus has made, that David's made, that we use. The audit review spreadsheet. David, are you gonna be able to share that with us so we can use it next month?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm not the one who created that one. I want to say Kai is the one who created that one. But yes,
It's
could-
invaluable.
Thank you.
But we also post the list of what lands got excellent, what lands passed, and what land failed. And that is exactly that. The excellent ones should be the lands that are doing really well. The past ones should be lands that have some issues, and fail should be lands that didn't submit anything or are not doing well.
Well, that's not entirely true, unfortunately. Just because they score an excellent in their audit isn't necessarily a reflection of how healthy the land is. And I'm going to use my own land as an example. We have 2 people, we're dying, but we scored an excellent in the last audit. So I'm not entirely sure just the pure excellent rating alone is a good signifier of a healthy land.
I mean, I think as far as gauging the health, it's not necessarily, but then we would need what criteria are you looking for? Because the things in the audit are the things the BOD looks at.
Well, for example, when Jody was talking about her land that she had interacted with earlier, she gave specific, these are the things they're struggling with, these are the things they need help with. I personally don't care about the rating system, but I
Okay.
do care about the specific items that each land is showing you in those audits. So it would be far more helpful to me to have a land specific, hey, take a look at this thing that we noticed, rather than just, here's a list of the ratings, here's a list of all the stuff they sent us. Because essentially that means I have to comb through the same information that you guys already combed through.
Won't you be doing that with the audits? Don't you get a vote on the audits?
I suspect I do, but
Yeah,
I
you do.
also don't think I will be looking at every single detail. I think more eyes on that with more nuanced information and direct contact would be helpful than just the audits in a mass form, if that makes sense.
So what we've done in the past, we've used that Excel spreadsheet, and everybody has links to the audits that have been submitted, the audit packages, and they have their own page on the audit spreadsheet for them to go through all the different categories that are required in an audit. And then they put their final grade or pass, fail, excellent. And then we put all of those on a group spreadsheet, and we come up with a final gradation or assessment of the land, pass, fail, excellent. And in that, everybody goes through everything, and we put all of our comments in, and we compare all of our notes. So the information for lands that are just not doing anything versus the lands that are really trying hard, but maybe on paper look like they're not doing anything, you're going to be able to see that in the comments from the individual BOD members in that spreadsheet if we do our homework. So that's where that spreadsheet really, for me, has been really useful. I mean, I look at what everybody else sees, and it's helped me learn on how to do audits and look at attendance and all of that. And then the assessments that we post are what we come up with as a group on a final grade. And that's what we post. The information that we take away from that is used to reach out to individual lands to say who's defunct, who's not active, who's struggling and needs help, who doesn't need help, and who's kind of in the middle.
Okay, that all makes sense. I think we're talking at cross purposes because I don't have a problem with any of that, and I'm not trying to find fault with how you've done it in the past. I know I tend to get overwhelmed with the sheer amount of information, so was hoping for a little more help in succinctly getting that same information into my brain.
I think I let this, what might help you is as we go through the audit meeting, all of that is discussed as a group. So I mean, we can make notes as we go through it, and you can walk away from that meeting with those notes readily.
More importantly, that should be posted on the minutes. But also, I'd point out that often the lands send in a thing from a letter, and that's the most likely source for us to be able to actually see what the land says they're struggling with. So what I could do is take the letters from the monarchs and basically make a
Notes about what they say.
Yeah, like a separate breakdown that just says specifically what the letters from the monarch told us. Because most of the other information on the audit, you know, doesn't necessarily actually go into what the lands are struggling with. It's just, you know, how their quolls went and stuff like that. But that is usually where they tell us if there's an issue or whatever, and they'll say, you know, what specifically the issue was and what they have been trying to do to solve the issue and stuff like that. So I could do a breakdown of that and send it to you. I think that's probably the most likely, like, succinct area that that's going to come across.
Which is why that letter is so important.
And it is.
It's, yeah, it's like not only my favorite part, but it really gives you the character and what's going on in the land.
I would say it's the
Also-
most important part of the audit, and it's one of the few things that is not required.
Yeah,
And
Agreed.
there's also, you know, there's nothing stopping the current monarchy also from putting out a general call going, hey, do any lands need help? I mean, we could be asking this question before and not just relying on the results of the audit. We could, you know, see what lands actually need, are asking for help.
But wasn't that what our point was in reaching out to the lands as BOD members and seeing what we can do to
The
help
point-
them with the audits?
Well, it's more
That
That's
doesn't
important.
helping with the audits, but that doesn't help them with how they're actually like doing.
Functioning
Like-
day to day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the BOD is kind of the enemy a lot of time when it comes to the audit. And I know that sounds bad, but that's, I mean, I've been doing this for
it's absolutely true.
so
Like
long.
most PMs do not see the BOD as the helping hand that is trying to get them through the process. The BOD is the teachers who are grading them off of every minor mistake they make. And it can be very frustrating. I know that's probably not how the BOD tries to be, but I think it's a thing that comes from having a grading system that is so based on, you know, minute
Check all these
Data.
details.
boxes.
Yeah.
When you have check boxes and you're grading people down for any mistakes on the check boxes instead of, you know, grading them down for how they're actually trying to solve problems and do things as a land, you could have a prime minister who's working their ass off and doing their best and trying to compile everything, and their regent doesn't hold a quals, and so their land fills, and the regent doesn't get the brunt of that. It's the PM, because where it comes out is they get hit on the audit. Otherwise, no one cares.
So ultimately, the BOD might not be the best source to make a judgment on how healthy lands are outside of the data we look at the audit.
Yes,
I
definitely for
don't
sure.
feel like we are. We
Yeah,
look at this stuff specifically, and that's it.
Yeah, our snapshot is so like, I know it covers a year, but it's so just kind of like a slice of what they do that I think if we're trying to, if there is an effort to want to help lands, you know, in general outside of the audit, that I think that feels like that's a monarchy issue and not necessarily a BOD thing. But we've kind of hopped like 12 subjects in this discussion. So because we were originally talking about defunct lands and now we're talking about how to support lands in general. So,
I think that's all connected.
oh, 100%.
I mean, I do know that there's a few lands that haven't wanted to submit audits just because it's such a, you know, unpleasant experience. So if they don't think they're going to pass, they just don't submit, because why go through that for yourself if you're going to fail anyway?
I mean, I've definitely never felt that as a prime minister before. No, never.
I
would
definitely
sarcasm,
want
for the
to
record.
change the audit process and make it more user friendly, but that's something I got to do through the Capora.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we also have to
Oh.
look at legally what we are required to obtain, because I know we want to simplify it, but like legally as a BOD, there are certain things that we are required to get from our chapters. in
Right,
terms
as a
of, you know, the
nonprofit
finances and stuff,
organization.
as a nonprofit. So we can simplify it to a degree, but you know, when it comes to having somebody put down their finances and submit it to us, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but that is a required duty.
I mean, as a prime minister, I've never complained if the reason that I got hit was something to do with the accounting. I have complained when the reason I got hit was because somebody didn't mention something in quals correctly, or the marketing was deemed, you know, not to be enough. You know, it's stuff like that. I don't care about the financials. You guys should be rigorously looking into the financials. The prime minister is also the person who is responsible for the financials. So, you know, hitting them for not doing the financial correctly is 100% hitting them for something that's their job and within their control.
Well, I gotta remember, we're not actually hitting the prime ministers. I mean, it's there has to be some incentive for people to do things like marketing. I mean, because
I mean, I
yeah.
feel like building up your land status is the incentive for marketing. If you don't do marketing and your land dies, that is the punishment for not doing marketing. If you have a land that's able to get, you know, enough people to come in without doing any marketing, why did you need to do marketing in the first place?
Because it helps grow the club and the game as a whole.
If you have enough people coming in that you're not needing new members, that's not really a
You always need new members though, because you always have to account for the members that are decaying and aging out of the system.
Wait, are you talking about me decaying and aging? So just kind of,
I mean, those are valid points.
so history, so the advertising and recruiting part of the audit has always been a bit contentious. Historically, over the years, it's been, you know, you have to submit a screenshot of handing somebody a card or posting a flyer on a wall or something like that. And, you know, kind of what I heard you saying is marketing and recruiting, and that is really what builds the land. And the audit has objectified that as far as screenshots and photographs and pictures of business cards and that. And I've always kind of wondered, how can you make that, what is it, quantitative or qualitative information a little bit more friendly, and then use that as a reflection of how is the land growing? You know, how are they using marketing? Are they handing out more business cards, or are they holding meetups, or are they doing demos? Or that's always been a really difficult part of the audit package to evaluate. And I don't know how it's going to be this audit. But I've seen a lot of some pretty cool pictures on Facebook of, you know, the pride parades and, you know, and people actually going out and being out in public in garb and that. But I kind of flipped back to 5 years ago when I'm like, oh, wait, you're handing out a card to a new person. Let me take a picture because I need that for the audit. You know, that's kind of silliness.
Yeah. Especially because that's also kind of really weird for the person you're giving a business card to then be like, wait, I need a picture of you taking this business card.
Well,
Let me take a picture of just your hands.
Well, they shouldn't have to require proof of somebody handing a business card, but they should be able to get away with just saying, well, they should.
I mean,
I feel like we should trust them on what they say.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also will state that the BOD has been that like strict before, you know.
Yeah.
Like I know I have said it before, but I got really upset when Bacchus's Park held an entire like 2-week demo where they had pictures of people fighting, they had pictures of, you know, the demo area, but they didn't have their name on a flyer and they didn't have a picture of people signing in. And so they got a point deducted that audit period for not doing adequate proof of marketing, you know.
That I would actually, yeah, I'd have a problem with that as well, especially if they did set up a demo. That does sound unfair.
And they had a detailed like thing talking about it in their audit, which was read out that period as well. And so it was like, it was ridiculous.
So maybe the Kapora committee
is
sorry,
this is the kind of problems that especially SG and a lot of other lands, when like we've had these problems with the audits before, and that's why at least me and Rose I know, or that's one of the major problems we have with audits. So I mean, especially when we're sitting here talking about like what specific things are we going to require, and we're talking about, you know, every single little thing, and focusing on those things hurts the audit process in general, because we're creating a situation where we're judging on people on things that don't necessarily actually make any difference to
they 100%
process.
make difference. Like I would argue they do make a difference. but could you elaborate what you mean by not making a difference?
What I mean by not making a difference is, I mean, just as examples in the past, I know that that's not the same as today, whatever, but like what she was saying about Bacchus's Park, I mean, they did advertising, they did that, but because, you know, like for that particular period, the BOD had decided, well, we're going to require this one specific thing, and that's what we're going to require as marketing. It, you know, they got dinged, and it's like, that's not how this works, guys.
It's
mean,
not how it should work.
That's not
And
how it
it
should
didn't
work.
help their land. Dinging them did not help them have better recruitment in the future. It just made their current PM feel like there was really no point. You know,
Yeah, I mean, like we're causing, when we do that kind of thing, we're causing PMs to feel like the BOD is an enemy. And when the BOD is an enemy, like it doesn't matter if they actually are or not, but that feeling exists.
So
So I mean, we need to
I
be
don't know,
more.
I'm torn because people, when they get elected to this position, should, and hold on, let me sit and think of how I'm going to phrase this for a minute. Just keep going.
All of the talk of what the BOD or what the audit process should be like would be better spent in the Kapora area.
Sure, but I'm not in the corporate area, so
Well,
gotta talk about it
right,
here.
so we should probably table this discussion and move it to that.
well, I just want to cover it because like
What
Dodie
would help
especially has been
me,
talking
hold
about
on,
this in the
let me
past
finish
month.
talking, please. What would help me make those changes is if the BOD could give me a list of what items they are legally required to do to maintain our NPO status. Like if that's the financials, and specifically what aspect of the financials. And if it's not on that list, then the Kapora should be changed to move it into the correct area and not make the BOD the bad guy anymore.
We're always going to be the bad guy. let's
We don't,
just settle
we don't
that.
have to be. You don't have to
I
be.
really don't think we have to be. I think that West March and the way they have set up the BOD creates an atmosphere that makes lands feel that way, but it doesn't have to be. You know, I don't hate my boss because I have to send stuff to him to be reviewed, or feel, you know, negatively towards him when he tells me that there's a mistake. And that's because, you know, his doing that is important for me to be able to do my work correctly. But if I sent him stuff and he constantly dinged me on every single little, you know, minor unimportant thing, I would feel very differently. And yeah, I do think of that because I do audits for a living.
So I would like the BOD to come up with a list of specific items that they are required by law to keep track of. Present that to the monarch so that we can then move forward with an action.
Does anyone know where that would be?
Yeah,
Like,
it's gonna be under our NPO, was it 501c? I think it is. It's gonna be outlined there. Let me do a little bit of research on that, because that's more than I'm gonna be able to do here real quick.
Yeah.
And let me work on that outside of this committee, and then we can talk about that in the next BOD meeting, and then probably the monarchy and the corpora will need to review it as well.
Yes, that is the action I would like to see. Thank you.
Yeah.
are
you making a motion?
Talk about that on the next meeting, or because audits are going to take up so much time, should we plan to table it just so people know what expectations to have?
I would put it on business for next meeting, and we can decide after we've been doing audits for 3 hours that we're too tired to discuss it, and then we can table it till September.
Okay.
But we should keep it on the agenda because I think that that's important going forward.
Okay,
And it doesn't necessarily even require a discussion, but if I can have that list and that list can be part of the public record,
mhm.
then I can start making moves in other directions. And we can then discuss it further if we need to in September, but at least if it's in the public record, I can start moving forward in other directions.
All right, so a motion has been made. Christine, right?
Okay, so
Second,
motion to, wait, what was the specific motion? Because you kind of,
the motion was to research what is legally required for our NPO status as far as audits.
okay, give me 1 second to write that down because I like to have the motions word for word.
Yeah,
Motion to research what is legally required
Yep.
for the audits for our nonprofit status.
and present a list at the next BOD meeting to the monarch.
A list for our next BOD meeting for the monarch. Got it.
Okay, second,
Second.
anyone opposed? Okay. Give me a second here, hold on. All right, and then the next item on new business is the principality of, hold on. Principality of Golden
Golden
Plains?
City.
Golden
Golden
City.
City.
Who is in Austin, Texas, I believe. And Christine, you may have information on this? Question mark?
I have a little bit. You know, I looked him up on the org and I talked to Rourke, who knew a little bit. It was Delos. I don't know him very well, but I've seen his name a few times. Didn't want to be part of CK, and so they made this land under West March during Demos's reign a while back, like 6 years ago at this point, I think. As far as I can see, they only have one active member at this point, and as evidenced by yesterday, nobody in the running of West March knows about them.
Doesn't sound like their principality status anymore if they only have one person.
Well, right. So I think what I would like the BOD to do is include them in their audit process and recommendations of what to do with lands. And once we do that, you know, reach out to Delos and basically say, hey, this is not working for us, and start the process to get that land gone.
So I have a
so-
question real quick.
Yeah.
Do we actually have a contract with them as a principality?
Yes, apparently
We
so.
do?
David,
yeah.
do we have a record of that somewhere? Do we have a
I'm gonna
contract
take a
with
look.
them?
I was told that they had a contract online. I don't know where. I didn't see it myself.
David will
I'm
find
just-
it.
Told me that it happened during Demos's reign and that he believed it did go through the Althing process. But again, I haven't looked that up, so I don't know.
While David's looking that up, I just want to commend everybody. It's been almost 2 hours on a Sunday and you guys are badass. Thank you.
I mean, I definitely don't, I mean, this is in 2016. I don't remember such an all thing, but
I don't remember such an all thing.
I'm searching for any thing of it currently as well on Facebook and also the CA AmpGuard forums.
I have
Yeah.
a very hard time.
I didn't see him on
believing that was
Facebook
passed.
posting for a while, but then that's not official, so.
Yeah,
They're not in
Yeah.
CA AmpGuard, but they are in the ORC listed under principalities, I believe, in West March.
Yeah,
Right.
So
I
I
just
don't
thought
see a contract with them with any of the land contracts. I don't remember a vote. They did submit one, I can't remember if it was an audit or a fake half joke audit, half joke, principality bid. And I did post a link to that, I want to say in Discord. I have memory some years back asking about them and being told it was mostly a joke entry. But that's a vague entry, a vague memory. And then I forgot
I
about them
just-
for years because
Yeah.
I
they've
see a
never done
Post
anything
by
with
Noah.
us.
The last post I see on Facebook is from Noah Smith back in March 1st on 2016, where he gave an update,
Yeah,
and that at the time he says it was a pre bid. I'm not seeing anything else about it, but I mean the fact is that they're not a principality status anymore, and they're not submitting audits. I mean that's an issue.
I have
Well,
never seen an
let's say
audit from
never.
them. I've never seen an audit from them. They've never been on our list to reach out to.
Right.
So I guess the decision for me would be, do we put them on the the list of defunct lands? Or do we reach out to Noah or whoever and just say, are you guys active? They need to be
I don't
removed
think
from
even
West.
that.
They need to
They're
be
not
removed from
defunct.
West March if it's a
If
joke,
they don't
which
have
is.
a contract with us, we shouldn't even have to do like anything for that. They
Yeah.
never,
They're a freehold.
And
yeah.
the
So,
principality
we
can't be
should-
one person in Texas. I
No.
mean,
So-
that's unacceptable.
I'm looking at their org and they've got attendance, like 8 people, the 14th, a few days ago.
Still not
We
principality
should
status.
talk to them about continuing this, especially if we're going for dental insurance. Their numbers feed into what we're paying for California members. And we don't want to pay money for them if they're not really for part of West March. And I can't find a contract for them with any of the other contracts.
And then the other thing, isn't there a
So,
requirement to
but-
reach out to a kingdom that's closer to them?
Yeah.
And there,
Yeah,
I
well, there
remember
is now.
reading there was
that's
some
East
drama.
Texas.
There is now. I don't know about 8 years ago.
That's
That's-
been longer than 16, I'm pretty sure, but I'll check in the rulebook right now.
Yeah, but even so, we
mean, if it
should
was a
chat
joke,
with
it should
them and
never
say, for our upcoming looking at insurance, this is going to cause a problem. You guys want to go to freehold? I mean, they're not really a defunct land if they're meeting, but a land can be active and you're not part of West March.
I mean,
What-
the only place that they're listed that way is in the org. So do we
Right.
need to do all of that, or do we just need to contact the org and say,
Fix the orc.
we have no contract for them. They are not a principality of West March. Why are they listed as one?
The proper
And how
thing
many-
would be to say, hey, Delos, we're gonna fix this before up and doing it.
I think
Well, why,
that's true,
though?
and I think that also maybe saying, hey, there's a kingdom in Texas that's closer to you if you want to be a part of them and offer that rather than just dumping them.
Well,
I mean,
they
but we're not-
specifically did not want to be a part of the CK, and that's why they joined West
Yeah, I
March at
remember.
the time.
There's a lot of
However,
kingdoms
they
in
need to be-
Texas.
Really weird for other lands who've been wanting to go for a principality and have been thinking about how to like get all the goals and stuff. And then to find out that there's an 8-person land in Texas that has been recognized by West March, which is what having it on the orc
Orc.
says. I mean, that kind of feels like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
How many
I
people do we
agree,
need
it
for a
shouldn't be there.
They have a
principality?
lot more lands.
Like
Oh, a
60.
lot. It's like 60, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
60
yeah,
or
that
80.
needs to change immediately.
Yeah.
On
So, I
somebody's end, they
mean-
either need to get 60 or
So they
Okay.
used to have, in 2016, they had 6 separate lands. I mean, they're currently not meeting principality. They used to be much bigger.
I
Um,
severely doubt they ever made it through an audit vote to approve that principality, though.
I don't
There is,
know if they were, I don't know how they became a principality, if they were a principality and then joined West March. But like, it doesn't really matter how they joined us right now. It's kind of a glitch that's going to have problems with our general insurance.
So
Yeah.
going forward, it sounds like we need to communicate with them and just say, hey, you're on our radar. You don't meet the requirements of a principality in West March, and you don't have a signed contract with West March. So you either need to meet the requirements of a principality in West March and submit a contract, or this is the action that we're going to take. And then my other thing would be, and who does that come from? Does it come from us? Does it come from the monarchy?
Well, if it's dealing with contracts, that's BOD, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I am proposing that on this next all thing, I'm going to say a vote to demote the principality down to a shire, because that is the size they are.
if we go through the demotion process, do we not have to follow the corpora?
I think the Capora says that it goes to an all thing.
It goes to an all thing after 2 failed audits.
They've
Well,
never
no.
submitted
They
an
haven't
audit.
submitted.
They've already
Yes.
failed 2 audits.
They failed
They
20
haven't because
audits.
we never failed them. Like,
Hmm.
No, if you don't submit an audit, that's an auto fail. If they're a land in West March, they need to be submitting audits. If they do nothing, it's an auto fail.
Actually, so reading the corpora, failing 2 audits only automatically brings them up for a vote. There's nothing that says the monarch can't put them on a vote anyways.
So what do you
Okay.
say?
So
He's
they're gonna
saying-
go for a vote this next time.
It
And
doesn't
they can
matter
be a
if they fail
shire
or not.
after that. And then the BOD simultaneously needs to be contacting them and saying, hey, we don't have a contract, either sign a contract or be on your way.
Or, and we can also ask them, technically, if they are a principality, we can audit them at any time. So we can ask for a slap together audit package too, but I don't think that's gonna make a difference actually, now that I talk that through.
well, Andy's saying that per the corpora, we don't actually need failed audits. The monarch can decide to put stuff on. It's just failing the audit twice, the auto generates it.
Gotcha, I see what you're saying. Yeah, in that case, that sounds reasonable to me.
I still think it should go to an audit. I think it's important.
I think that
If-
giving
for
them an audit
transparency-
legitimizes them, and I don't think that's fair to other lands.
And if they have no contract, we technically don't have the right to audit them.
Mm.
That's actually, yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't think we should be legitimizing lands without contracts, self-proclaiming that they are principalities without
it-
approval of the kingdom.
As a joke,
Is it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
is it
That-
possible that they have a contract, we just don't have it on our end? I mean, maybe they have it squirreled away in a Google Drive somewhere on their side and we've just.
then
So
they
how-
should be able to
how
provide
about
it.
do not
this?
think there is a grain in hell that West March that has trouble passing basic all thing items that they all mostly agree on suddenly decided, hey, let's make this land that's in Texas a principality.
So how
Like-
about this? Oh, go ahead, Atlantis. You have your hand up. I love it.
Eh,
I don't even know how to do that on
Stand
my
up.
phone.
It goes, yeah, it's at the bottom. It's like under more, it's like raise hand or something. Go ahead, or chat.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, as the monarch, I'm going to be putting them for an all thing vote.
Yep.
What I would ask the BOD officially to do is find out, contact them, find out if they have a contract on their side. And if they do, then go from there. If they do not, then they need to petition to join West March again. And
I will reach out to them to that effect.
thank you. With
I
that
approve.
in mind, can I motion that we
table this item for
Hold
future.
on, so I have a motion that the Monarch is going to put them up for all thing vote to, is it to demote their principality status to a shire?
Yes, but that's
And that I will reach out to them as far as seeing if they have a copy of a contract that's been filed with Westmarch.
Okay, is this a motion or a stating of what we're doing?
I want a statement of what we're doing so that I have clarity on what the motion will be.
Okay.
Yes.
I would like to make it a motion to table until we have reached out about the contracts, and then I'll include the other stuff just above.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause
so
once
my
again, if they don't-
understanding is so no all thing then until after we've discussed it again?
the whole thing
That's
is,
not a BOD thing. That's a Monarch thing. So
Okay.
our motion is to table until we have contacted them over the contracts, which is our
Okay.
part.
Okay, I will
And
do that.
then
I will take care of
The
that when we're
Monarch
done
can
here.
put it up to all thing, whether we like it or not.
Okay.
That's her.
Christine?
yeah, I motion and I'll put my hand down, sorry.
That's okay.
I need to figure out where this button is. I'm staring at it like, where? How do I use the hand button? I just can't find it.
I'm on my,
It's under reactions.
So
Oh, okay.
motion-
Yep, I see it.
Motion to table until we have contacted them about whether or not they have a contract.
David, did you have your hand up?
No, I just noticed all these reacts. I'm having fun.
Yeah, if you ever go
Um,
to the AICOM meeting, it's like, don't talk unless you raise your hand. I'm like, oh, there it is.
it
Ah.
really makes a huge difference on not talking over each other.
Well, yeah, when you got like 30 people in the meeting, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be terrible.
it's really nice. So, I mean, going forward, now you guys know where it is, and and David is now an alien, and we're all good. We can use that going forward. I think it's a useful feature. So anyway, okay, so that has been tabled. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh,
Well,
guess what else
we
I
did
have
the
on new
motion,
business?
Nobody seconded it and we
Oh,
didn't vote.
second,
Oh,
second
I'll
to
second.
table.
Times.
Anybody opposed?
Okay.
Awesome.
That's why
Okay,
I
so
kept on
table.
saying it, because like I kept on making the motion and then everyone was like, let's talk about the hand.
We were so enthralled with the little emojis there. So, okay, so the next item I have on new business is nothing.
Yay.
Schedule the August meeting. So what we've done in the past, because the August meeting is the audit review, is we've tried to meet earlier in the month if we can to kind of go through the audits. Because sometimes there's additional information that we need to reach out and collect before we post the audit results no later than the last day of August, or everybody gets an excellent, the COVID protocol.
Mhm.
So I think during the week is going to be better, kind of based on meeting today. A lot of people missed Parklands. Mid-rain is the 13th and the 14th weekend. So that weekend is out, weekends are out anyway. Does anyone have weekdays and times? It's going to be a long meeting. I'll just tell you now, it's going to be a long meeting. What day and time would you propose?
So in general, for Rose and I, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is better. For
And
weekdays.
then if we did weekends, Sunday the 7th and Sunday the 21st work for us. The 14th and the 28th are difficult like today because we have to go exchange custody of a child. So we absolutely can't not do that because the people who have the alternate custody are very unwilling to have us do it at a different time, like
Yeah.
later or whatever. We could possibly go earlier, but
But
we
that
have
didn't work
to
out for people
actually
today.
leave in a little bit to go do that, and that takes up the rest of the night.
Is
So
there maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that would work for people? I could do August 17th, Wednesday, anytime.
I can do
Um,
Mondays. I am a hard no on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so let's work for Mondays.
Mondays work for me.
Monday's
Oh,
fine.
wait, hold on. So if we do Mondays, the last Monday that David is going to be available figuring that he's gonna be voted out of office at mid-reign on the 13th would be the 8th. If
That's a
we
fine
do
date
it
for me.
on, if we do it on the 15th, that's gonna be Clenaw or whoever is voted in, coming in, boom. Let's have you look at all the audits and do all of that in a day.
So the 8th
Yeah.
sounds decent.
I don't know. The
Eh.
15th sounds decent.
I vote for either the 7th or the 8th or 1 through 6.
Christine? Amanda?
I think it's probably a good idea to plan on maybe 2 consecutive days with the amount of information that you have coming. I'm available for the 7th and 8th.
Why don't we do the 8th and then maybe we could look at the 22nd, depending on the new prime minister's schedule.
Well, the monarch's suggesting having it over 2 days. I don't actually hate that idea.
7th
Should
and
we
8th.
discuss it? Yeah. Does anyone else have thoughts on that?
The 7th I can do anytime. The 8th is going to be after 7 because I work until 6. No big deal, but I can make that work.
I tend to go to bed at 8, so I can do from 7 to 8 on that Monday.
What would your time be on the Sunday, Atlantis?
Any time before 8 is fine.
Anytime before 6. It's going to be a long meeting, I'll tell you.
Well, right. I'm saying my
between
cutoff
2
time is
days.
8. If you want to schedule me earlier, that's fine.
Yeah.
What
If we
about
split it
Sunday the
between-
7th at like starting at 5, does that give people enough time to get to park and back?
It does for me, yeah.
Yeah, that works.
If we're splitting it between 2 days, which one are we? And then 2, would we want to do all of the audit stuff on the Sunday and then have everything else on the Monday?
I think
That
that's
seems
a
like a-
great idea.
Especially since we were talking about what to do regarding certain land contracts based on the outcome of the audit. That seems really reasonable.
Okay. That'll be
So let's-
important for making the agendas.
So 5 o'clock on Sunday, the 7th. And then 7 PM, the 8th.
Sounds good.
That's the earliest
good.
I can meet. Sorry about my work, around my work schedule. David, does that work for you? You're still on board, dude.
Yep, that works.
We're gonna squeeze every last little bit of essence out of you. Okay, so I will send Zoom links to the chat. The other thing, Rose, is on the meeting agenda for tonight. It says review and approve May meeting minutes. Can you change that to June?
Yep, I'm sorry.
That's
I thought
okay.
I changed that because Andy had actually pointed that out. Did the
Well-
change not save?
It maybe I have an old copy.
And then I think the other thing we need to do was you wanted to add that that principality item to the new business on the agenda. Do you still are you still concerned about that? Like
I
actually
think we
adding it on?
tabled that and that's gonna become old business for the next BOD meeting.
All right,
yeah.
but do you still want her to list it as new business on this agenda?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Posthumously?
On new business, as new business? Or
Yeah,
as old
because it's
business?
new business for this meeting and it'll be old business for next.
Yeah, so it'll just be old business on the next agenda, not new business.
Right,
Correct,
but
Yep,
add it to new
yep.
business on today's agenda.
correct.
Oh, it is added on everything except for the saved sheets, because for those I have to actually open the
Gotcha.
file, edit it, and I hadn't been home when we discussed it. And I have to be home to do that. So I'll get that updated.
Thank you.
Though, I mean, it's the agenda.
Okay. Woo! It's been a BOD meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of meat to this one.
Yeah, we held in there. I think we did a great job tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so August 7th is at 5 o'clock.
August
And
7th at
then-
5 PM and then August 8th at 7.
Okay,
All right? Does
Yep.
anyone have anything else before we close the meeting out tonight at 4:13 PM?
Nothing
I-
this time.
This meeting.
Sweet. Yeah. All right, we worked hard tonight. Enjoy your Sunday evening, okay? I will talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Do we need to make a
Aye.
motion to close?
Oh,
No.
motion to close. Go ahead, Amanda.
I would like a motion to close this meeting at 4:13
like-
PM.
Peace out.
I second that motion.
Anybody
I'll second it.
opposed?
We can't second.
You don't, nobody opposed?
Nobody.
Okay, still 4:13. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.